Dear students, in this unit, we will talk about an important aspect of Darwin theory of evolution, which is adaptation. Now, in this unit, we will talk about the focus of Darwin on the adaptation. Now, the explanation of evolution by the Darwin was inspired by Malthus' idea that there is a strong and constant check on human population. It means during the observation of animals and different regions and the plant species, uh, Darwin was convinced by this notion that every organism struggle for the survival. Uh, that was his observation after reading the Malthus idea of this check on the population of different organisms, including animals and plants, as well as humans. Now, Darwin, after his observation, he explained that in this struggle, inherited variation, which are favorable to survival, would tend to be preserved in the species and they will keep it, while unfavorable one or the organism which has unfavorable traits, they will perish from that certain specific environment or the ecosystem. Now, in evolutionary theory, adaptation is the biological mechanism by which organisms adjust to new environment or to change in their current environment. This adaptation is resulted as a result of acquiring certain new traits as a result of evolution. Now, although scientists had discussed the adaptation in early 1800s as well, but when Charles Darwin and Alfred Russel Wallace uh, uh, discussed about this adaptation, they gave a theory of natural selection. After this theory, the adaptation becomes a main focus of this theory. The result would be adaptation. That means that an evolutionary modification that improves the chances of survival and reproductive success of certain organisms in a given environment. Now, eventually, the accumulation of similar modifications or those modifications which help the organism best survive in a certain environment would result in the formation of a new species. Now, during that new species, according to Darwin, time was the only thing for the new species to originate. So that was the only thing required, which means that with the passage of time, new species develop because they are best suited, they acquire the characteristics which are best suited for them to survive in a certain environment. Other thing which Darwin was convinced that a heritable trait that helped the survival and reproduction of an organism in its present environment, it is known as adaptation, and that is the adaptation which is an important aspect of evolution. Now, scientists have described a group of organisms becoming adapted to their environment when a change in the range of genetic variation occurs over time, and this increases or maintain that population to remain fit in its environment. This is the adaptation. Now, the examples, as you can see, this is a platypus, which is the only mammal with the webbed feet, and that acquiring of this webbed feet by the platypus is an adaptation for swimming. Similarly, snow leopard thick fur is an adaptation for living in the cold. It cannot survive the cold if it doesn't have a thick fur which will protect him from the extreme cold environment. Similarly, cheetah's fast speed is an adaptation for catching the prey in an environment where there are so many fast moving preys, and if it is not very fast moving, it cannot survive in that environment. Similarly, whether or not a trait is favorable, that depends on the environmental condition at that time. The same trait are not always selected because environmental condition can change. For example, if a cold area becomes hot and there is no more snow in that area, that change or the adaptation of having fur will not be advantageous for an organism. So it are not always selected because environment has changed accordingly.